Hi, I'm Gavin. So what we're going to do is one of the most annoying things I've ever had to do, which is install Linux on a T2 Mac Mini. Right, so this is a spec of the machine. It's an i3 2018, the absolute lowest spec one you can possibly get from a 2018 iMac. And what it's got is a T2 security chip, and there's loads of stuff there, but the bottom line is the thing that counts. It's a total pain having these on the systems. Anyway, there's a place that can help. It's called t2linux.org. If you go there, they've got lots of ways to help you install Linux on these T2 machines, the Air, MacBook Pro, all that, and get it up and running. And what we'll do is we'll go through the first part of this. We'll go through downloading an ISO and then installing it. Okay, so you jump over to GitHub, and in here we're looking for the T2 Mint package. You can see you've got T2 Ubuntu, Fedora, NixOS, things like that, but we want Mint. So there we go. And now this has been put together by people, amazing people on the internet for free, who've modified it. You click on releases, and there we are. So there's the release, and you download that file, click on iso.sh. That's the thing you get, and I've done that already. So jump into Finder. Now, this is Linux time, and I'm on a Mac at the moment. And I'm going to sort of burn an ISO. So what I'm going to do is go to terminal, and I need to make that ISO command executable. So that's chmod +X, and then drag it over, and then return, and then same again, and run it. What this will do is pull down those ISOs, and here we go. Choose which one I want. Number 1, which is Cinnamon. And here we go. It starts downloading. In the background, it says Cinnamon ISO 00, Cinnamon ISO 01. It's going to pull both of those down and create a burnable ISO for me. Anyway, so as I say, yeah, T2 chips, nightmare. Basically, you know, if you want to find out fully about them, go back to the beginning of the video and look at that page. It's encryption and security and pants, fundamentally. Any Intel machine that doesn't have a T2 chip, it's just a gift. You can install Linux and get away with it. And this is sort of one of the very last 2018s, and it can still run Sequoia, but I mean, with the next update to Tahoe, this won't run it anymore. And this is an absolute base model. And you're probably thinking, why would you do this? Why wouldn't you just leave it running on Sequoia or even put Windows on it? Well, it grinds. It's slow. It's like, you know, whereas if I free it up and put Linux on it, I can do all sorts of wonderful things with it. Now, these are sort of super cheap, these ones. You can get them because it's the base model. It's the 8 gig, 128 gig SSD version. You can get these for next to nothing. I mean, some of them are a bit more. I wouldn't really invest in those. I mean, they're literally going nowhere after the Tahoe update. You know, you might as well just spend the money on a M1, you know, an M4 Mac Mini. They're brilliant, those things. But if you can find one of these, or you've got one lying around, this is a good way to sort of give it a bit of a future. So I'll just show you this, what I mean. You can pick these up. I've got an eBay shop coming up here. There it is, £149 on eBay. Basically, you can see some of the others are going from, well, I wouldn't pay that for them, but 149. Yeah, because I mean, as I'll show you later on, I mean, it can be a great little workstation, or you can turn it into a Plex media server, which I will do on another video. So just let this come down. So yeah, I mean, I chose Linux Mint. I mean, I installed CatchOS on this. I installed Ubuntu, but all of them and Fedora, none of them are quite as user-friendly. If you're coming over from Mac world, you're like, you know, pampered, aren't you? And even Windows, everything's a little bit slicker for you. And Linux world is not quite like that. It can be a bit harsh and a bit of command line. But a Linux Mint sits in the middle of all this. It's really slick, good to use, really solid, and it's well supported and looks after old hardware. So you basically, there's a great community for it, and it's really well used. So I'll do some other videos. I've got my old Mac laptops. I mean, Linux Mint runs them amazingly and turns them into really usable machines again. But the thing that's inside this one, which I'll come to later, I'll put OBS on here for you, is it's got HSV or something. So it's got the inbuilt QuickSync thing, the encoder. So the hardware encoding is built into the Intel chip. So for OBS, and I'd imagine as a Plex media server, but we'll do that in another video, this could make quite a useful machine. Now, as I said, I mean, some of the installations go on this quite easily, but you do have to go through some hoops when you install this, because it's obviously because of the T2 chip. That's why you have to use these special ISOs to do it. If you try and go through the hoops with normal ISOs, it won't work, or you have problems. I mean, you can't put Bazzite on this. You can't put, what else can't you put on this? And you think, yeah, you can't get, I mean, you can put them on there, but you have to add the kernels, which is what gets really super technical. So you can just go and download these, and then it'll just do it all for you. And the other thing is that because that T2 chip controls certain aspects of the input-output stuff, Wi-Fi drivers, and you just can't install normal Wi-Fi drivers. You have to do it in a particular way. But the amazing people who do these ISOs made it really super simple to install this stuff. I got Catchy running on it. Brilliant, fast, really quick. Catchy comes with T2 patches built directly into it. Amazing. But Catchy's package manager leaves something to be desired. And as you sort of coming from a Mac, if you're sort of trying to redo this as from a Mac machine, it might scare you slightly. And it's all a bit, what's the word? It's all a bit primitive. I don't want to insult the Catchy Linux community, but the package manager is a bit of a funny one. Doesn't look great, but does the job. If you look at Bazzite, Bazzite's got a brilliant thing called Bazaar now, but I can't put Bazzite on it, or else that would have been my first port of call with this. Not that you want to game on it, but just it's quite an optimized operating system, and it's really well supported by the people that do it. So here you go. So one more to the talking. I am going to speed up other parts of this, but I just thought I'd get a lot of info out of the way with this. This will download the rest of the second part of the ISO, and then the app will rebuild it. And within there, 94, 95, 96, nearly there. So then it will rebuild it into a single ISO, which I'll show you how to burn really easily. And there it goes. It's 98, 99, 100. Now verifying checksums to make sure it's downloaded the right thing. And now it should be done. Okay, so I'm going to jump now. We're going to burn the ISO. Now, I can never pronounce the name of this package. It's called Balance Etcher. Download it and launch it, and you just flash from file. So click on, you can see my Linux Mint thing over the side there. Put a USB drive in. There you go. Ignore that. It's my USB drive. Click on that. Select it. Select the target, which will be my verbatim store and go. Select and flash. I just have to quickly type your password in to get it to do this disk operation. And then it'll start to burn. Now, I've got another video here about making like a universal Ventoy. Install a USB, which obviously is completely useless when you come to Macs. It works on PCs amazingly. It doesn't work on a Mac. Macs just do their own thing. I mean, it's interesting when you buy into that ecosystem, isn't it? You're not really buying a Mac operating system and a machine, not a machine. I mean, you buy Dell, but you can put anything on a Dell. You can put Windows or Linux. They don't care. Buy Mac, they just expect you to run macOS on it, even though it's an Intel chip. So you get a bit stuck. So with these machines, this runs the latest version of Sequoia, as I said, but literally when Tahoe drops, it's over. And there's tons of machines further back that are still brilliant machines. They're unsupported, but you can stick Linux on them. And I mean, and you can use my MacBook Air. I'm going to do a video about the MacBook Air. It's got Linux Mint on it, and it's absolutely astonishing. It's like when I first got it, it's so responsive and snappy. But yeah, it's one of these things where, the technology, Mac's moved on, M1s, Intel's all part of the history now. So, I mean, you're left with a lot of hardware and not much to do with it. I mean, with this little box here, I'm going to turn this into I'm going to write a script to make it a media server, Plex media server. I could have left it running macOS to do that, but Linux just runs, doesn't it? And it'll get supported, and I can update it security-wise. It's going to go on forwards, where the other one will just sit there. And there'll potentially come a point where the Plex media server will require something that a Mac Mini, I don't know, that Sequoia doesn't have. But yeah, I mean, it's always good to sort of move the machines. Plus, this is so optimized. Linux Mint is optimized. Linux is so much more optimized than I find the macOS. If you notice when you buy a Mac, every single operating system upgrade, your machine feels slower than it did before, which doesn't happen quite so much with the M-class computers, the silicon. But I certainly felt it when I was going through the Intels. Every single one, it started to grind. And also, if you look at the size of the package you're installing, they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Anyway, let's come to the end of that. It's just going to validate the drive. And then we're going to get into the bizarre and interesting part of booting into this to actually try and install it. It's not as simple as it seems. I had a lot of problems with this. It's just crazy what it decides to do, even with booting and even with doing it all. So I'll start off before we jump into the installation that you need to go in, Control R or Command R, and switch off all the security to allow it to be booted by an external device. Okay, that's done. So that, by the way, that USB flashed. Then when you put your USB in, don't put your USB in when you do the boot. That's me just shutting down that. Don't put your USB in when you boot. So you're not seeing it here. So when you boot up, basically make sure you've got a wired keyboard and also have a connection to the internet. So now I click that, and you'll see what happens next. It comes up, goes to this weird recovery mode. Now what happens next is, I haven't videoed it. It goes all the way through this, comes up, and it says your startup disk needs an update. So remember, you have to be connected to the internet wire. So I let it do that, and then it will reboot, and you have to do Control R again to get into Boot Manager. But again, I'm going to reiterate, you need a wired keyboard to do this and a wired mouse. Okay, so install again. Now this is the second time I hold, Command or Alt? It's the Alt key. You hold the Alt key to get to Boot Manager, and now I've got 3 of these. So you always select the one on the farthest right. So the EFI boot one on the furthest right. You shouldn't have to do this, but I don't know why mine wanted to do it. But it did this whole thing, and now when I clicked on it, now it started to install. It took me ages. I mean, you'll have to go try and install Linux Mint. Yeah, you could go through all sorts of weird and wonderful combinations just to get to that screen. I mean, I tried all sorts. It just doesn't want to let go of macOS. Now, I'm wiping the entire drive and putting macOS on. Don't need it anymore. And there we go. The Apple disappears and the LM symbol comes up. Anyway, let's quickly go through the first part of this, and then I'll speed up the video for you. So it should boot up. Here we go, a little bit of time. And we are in, I think. Are we? It's going to pop. There we go. There's my cursor. There's my cursor. And there we go. Relief. We're home. Okay, now click install. And it took a little bit, because I'm firing off of a USB. It does take a little bit of time to fire up. Bit of spinning beach ball here, but not so much spinning beach ball as you are when you're on the macOS, because it's quite slow. Anyway, now one thing about this has got 3 or 4 Thunderbolt 3 ports in the back. They all work in Linux. Brilliant. And you've got 2 USB ports as well on the back, so you've got a lot of extra, bits. And one of the things you can think about doing this is you could actually get a eGPU through the Thunderbolt port quite easily, because Linux supports Thunderbolt ports. But I don't know why you'd want to do that. I mean, you can do that in Windows as well, but you don't want to go that far really if you get one of these. Anyway, so normal thing. English, continue. English, continue. Install the multimedia codecs. Yes, pop that on there. Yeah, so I'll reiterate this. You sort of need to do this bit with a wired keyboard and mouse, and you also need I'm going to delete the drive. You also need to make sure that you've got a wired connection. I mean, you can install this without an internet connection, but there's there's some drivers you're going to need. Just do like the stupidest password on the planet. So you don't, there's some bits you need to do to update it, things like that. You need to, before you can get the Wi-Fi drivers installed. I mean, you could do it a different way. Anyway, let's speed this up. This is the install. In it goes. mean, I've just done this in a particular way. I'd like installed everything because I have got a wired connection, and then I've done the bit with the Wi-Fi drivers. That's not, normally you'd do this. You'd do the update, and you'd search for what you'd have to hotspot with Bluetooth onto a phone just to do the driver update. You have to do that on some of the laptops, and then you download the Wi-Fi driver via the Bluetooth hotspot thing, and then you can go from there. But you can't do that on this because basically there's a special. Well, you probably could, I suppose, because you need to download part of FSX. We'll come to that bit in a minute. That's whizzing through. Once that's done, right, restart, boom, out, and now we're rebooting. So that's the first reboot, and it's installed. Everything's great. There's the Apple sign. That's going to vanish shortly, and it'll become the Linux Mint logo, he says. There, it's vanished. And it's back. There we are. And we're in Mint. Yeah, so I mean, I'll show you around Mint when we're in it. We'll have a look at it. It's quite good. It's very good, in fact. It's free. And people, here we go. So this is a launch screen. So the thing to do here, you can see I'm on a wired internet connection. There's no Wi-Fi yet, but we'll come to that. We'll come to that. Wired. Okay, so what I'm going to do is go in. I'm going to go through. I'm going to Driver Manager just to explain this. So it won't find. If you do this on a MacBook Air and the other ones, you'll find a Broadcom driver will come up and you can install it, and then you've got Wi-Fi. On this, it just won't do it. So go to Update Manager, and then OK, and it'll tell you we need to update. But before we do that, we want to do it as quickly as possible. So what you can do is you can select your closest mirror of the packages. So double click on it, and it'll start to show you the download speeds you can get from each of the local mirrors. CatchOS is really clever. It does this in the actual loader. You don't have to do this bit. And then Base Noble. Let's see what comes up. Oh, it doesn't seem like it wants to do anything there. Cancel. Let's try that again. There we go. That's the top one. So let's grab that 6.2 megs per second one. Put that in. Update their cache so it knows where to pull the files from. And then we'll go back to our Update Manager and we'll refresh that. So it knows where it's pulling everything from again. Query the software sources. And then we'll apply the updates. Now whiz off, password again. And it will, there you go. Just put that there to give you a bit more. It jumps back now and gives you all the updates. So what we do, I always like to get everything on there, get up to the latest version before we start fiddling with the driver on this. I find it works better. So I'm going to install the updates, but don't worry, I'm going to do this at 800% speed, so it's really quick. Off it goes. Doesn't download that quickly on my machine. So yeah. All right. So the next part of this is once this has downloaded everything and it's up to the most recent version. This is the thing. I mean, it's a tweaked version of Mint to do the install, but you can just carry on installing every update going forward. No problem with it. So once we've done this, we'll do the video drive. We'll do the Wi-Fi driver, and to do that, we need to go back, as you'll see, back to the T2 website, because I mean it's really clever. You could do this manually, and it's pain. I did it manually on. Catchy's got good install instructions. Fedora is an epic to get working. Yeah. So you can get other operating systems on this thing. Anyway, here we go. This is just nearly done. And then we'll do the Wi-Fi driver. If he says, what are we going to do next? Are we going to do the Wi-Fi driver next? I can't remember how I did this. That's gone. Oh no, I'm rebooting. Well done me. Well done me. It's a classic. So I'm going to do a quick reboot. Typical. Yeah, that's one of the big things is whenever you do patches with Linux, always reboot. So yeah, and look, I've put a card in here that says Wi-Fi install. So that's what we're doing next. So when it reboots, there's some sort of deep satisfaction when that Linux Mint logo goes over the top of that Apple. I can tell you, I don't know why. So yeah, so that's going in. And here we go. It's booting up. And we're in. Now, get rid of that. And we need to launch. Still nothing there. We need to launch a web browser. So it's got Firefox installed. You can stick Chrome on here, whatever you want. And we need to go back to the T2 website. T2 Linux website. Yeah, I've spelled that wrong. But it knows what I mean. That's the beauty of this. All right, jump in. And as we look for Mint, go to installation. No, it's on the wiki page. No, we've done it wrong again. Wiki page. There we go. And go into distributions, guides. No, it's distributions. It's online. There it is. And home. And then there's installation guide. That's right. If you scroll down, gives you a really, really simple command to run. So there's one if you've got dual boot, and there's this, because me, I've flattened the machine. You'll quick grab that. And there's obviously a script embedded into this. Paste. Off it goes. Now, I don't have D2 IMG installed. So what you need to do is what I'm about to show you. You need to go into Software Manager and install it. Basically, what this is going to do, this little app is going to pull down a copy of one of the iOS's. There is D2 copy. And it would go and get it. To Software Manager. This is where you get your software. I'll show you a little bit more about this in a minute. Generate cache. It doesn't have to do this every time. It sort of does it when it first does it. Yeah, the script could not detect your package manager. Please install. There it is. So jump back over to that, paste that in, search for it, and there it is. Click on it. System package and install. Authenticate. And then just go back over once you've done it. And press enter, and off it goes. So there you go. It gives you a list of firmware files to download the firmware file to pull the Wi-Fi firmware out. So it says recommended 7. So I do believe I type 7. And off it goes. It goes off and it gets the actual part. I think it's part of it. It doesn't pull down the whole thing because it's not huge. It's 700 meg. Recovery base image. There it is. Recovery base image. DMG. And pulls it down. Please enter to install your dependencies. That threw me slightly, but that's what you. This is what you do, because I remember really thinking none. But you pull this down. It really is a great script, and it's built into the Linux Mint package from that. So that's one of the reasons you could probably do this manually. I did it for. Can't remember what I did. I did it with Fedora in the end, where I managed to get the catchy version of the file. Oh, it's like an epic, but this is like the simplest way to get this working. So it's still downloading. I've scrolled up. I'm rereading that again and again and again, thinking, have I done something wrong here? But no, I've done it right. And 63%. Down it goes. So there's a few more steps. I mean, it's always the Wi-Fi drivers which seem to be the epic on these things. I don't know why. I think I had a problem with POP as well on the Macs. They just, it's the Broadcom drivers the Macs use. I mean, normally with on a PC or something, it's like totally super simple to do this because it picks stuff up as long as you've got a driver that's recognized by Linux. So here we go, 95. And then I'll show you mounts it. Yeah, verifies, converts image to IMG, which it's doing. So many pauses in this, you think, have I done something wrong again? Oh, password. Put that in. Super strong password there. Doing something. There it is. And that's it. So now it's loaded them in. That's like so seamless, it's frightening. As a Linux user, think, hang on a minute, what's gone on wrong here? And then you click on the button, and then you can see all my networks. Or Vodafone, say the Wi-Fi card's working. But we'll leave it on, I'll leave it on on wired for the moment. And then what we'll do now, I think we'll look at some of the software you can put on here, just very quickly through the software package manager, and just install some software. So here we are, package manager. I'm going to install OBS, click OK, and basically it zooms down. So that was the software I was in just now, that little thing. You can look through for all sorts of software, and it'll install. And it's got people reviews on there, all that kind of stuff. So it's like Microsoft App Store or Apple Store, really, but the Linux version. And obviously everything's free, which is one of the great parts of this. So, yeah, it's all free. So you can pretty much normally find something here to do something. Someone's written it to do what you want. A lot of 5 stars, and there's some, obviously, the people that can't get things working. Reviews. And then, install optional components, bits and bobs, and we'll let it do its thing, and then we'll jump onto something else. I'll launch it, and then we can have a quick look at it as well. Because like I said, here we go. So that's that. So let's install Steam. The same deal. Steam for gaming. Not that this is a games machine. Basically, that'll pull Steam down, and you can play Steam games. I'll show you a game at the end. I mean, it's not really the best platform. It's a Intel H360. Here we go. Let's have a look around. Applications, Office, graphics. So like Windows, which old Windows was it? One of the Windows, I should say, OBS Studio. So I'll just launch that. Let's have a look at OBS actually. Let's go into OBS and see what we can do. Can we do OBS? Still downloading. Still downloading. Yeah. Again, reviews and stuff like that. Well, worth having a rummage around in here. You sort of look at this for the first time and you think this is so alien to me, because you're either so used to Windows or you're so used to Mac, where you've got an app store, or you've Windows, and normally there's somebody's written something that does what you want it to do. There's tons of Linux-based emulations for old games. There's all sorts of stuff. There's word processors for free. There's mail clients. There's everything that you could possibly want. I use Linux Mint as a daily machine on my MacBook Air because it's super portable. It's like a Chromebook, but a bit more powerful. But yeah, the Steam do its stuff. And as you can see, with the upsurge of like Steam Deck and people, like if you look at my videos, I've done a lot of work with Steam, recovery image and putting it onto computers, and then Bazai as well. Steam is becoming a really big player. The Valve is becoming a really big player with our operating systems. So there you go. So that's Steam. Loads of bits there. Steam devices, Steam Link, all sorts of stuff in there that you can Spotify, Telegram if you want that, Blender, all of it in there. You can have a look around it. VLC, you can play your games or whatever you want to VLC, play your videos, but there's all sorts. Plex, we'll do a video on this, but I'm going to put the server in, not the player. That's for HTC version, that's for the home computer. That's the media client. And yeah, HTPC version, sorry, that Plex Sam. Anyway, there's like so much software in here to play with. It's ridiculous. Anyway, let's quickly do OBS. Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Where did I put OBS? There we are. Launch it. Just wanted to show you this because it's one of the reasons this computer's not so bad. Just going to do recording next, and I'm going to do 1920 by 1080 and do 30. I don't know why it doesn't let you do 25, but anyway. And there you go. Hardware QSV H266, because it's got hardware and coding built in to the GPU. And then you can go into output, click in there, and you can see it's there is hardware H264, which is great. So you could probably use this as a pretty good streaming station of some kind. And also, you never do it to you always make sure your videos go into video, because otherwise you lose the files all over the place. And that's that. That's OBS. And here we go. Just click up screen capture. So really, really easy. Let's do display capture. Okay. Display. my display, and there you go, all set up, ready to go. I'll do a quick games thing before I leave you. This is a very long video, I suppose, but I mean, it's worthwhile just going through the stuff. I put Dredge on there, Steam. I'm going to play that. It's going to download some Proton thing in the background, so it allows it to launch. I mean, this isn't a machine to play games on. You could probably get away with a few things, but it's not really a big. What's it doing? Proton hotfix. What Steam's doing is working through a compatibility layer. So this is a PC game that's working through a compatibility layer to play on Linux. And there's lots more to this where you go in and switch on compatibility. Loads of games do that work now really well. And some of the platforms, some of the games have got like a few frames different speed, FPS, like 10 or 5 frames per second, faster or slower on a Mac, on a PC, and Linux. I mean, I did see that they released Cyberpunk 2077 for the Mac the other day. I've done a little video on that. It's just not really too exciting, to tell you the truth, but not to worry. I mean, I work on a Mac every day. I've got an M3 Max laptop, and they're brilliant machines, but they're just not for games. Here we go. Look at that. I've got the frame counter in the top corner, and you'll be able to see Team 17, and just watch the frame counter. Now, this is a 1920 1080, and I think this is all set to high. I mean, this isn't the most demanded game on the planet by a long way. Settings. What do we got? Display. Borderless window. Reflections on. I'll put it all on high. Put it all on high. And let's just continue where I was. And let's just see what sort of FPS. Look at the top corner, if you can see it. What do we got? What do we got? Leave port. Oh, 36. Yeah, the HD 360 Intel is just not designed. It's playable, totally playable, but it's like not designed. I mean, you're on the hairy edge there, aren't you? Of if it goes below 25, you're going to stutter. Anyway, let's just zip around in here a bit. What are we doing? Oh, it's a great game, this. If you've not played it, great indie title. You wander around, fishing, solving puzzles. But it's just fun. And it's beautiful graphics. I think it was a very small development team did this, like 4 or 5 people. It's great. I pressed that by mistake. That's something you get later in the game to protect you from evil. It's a bit spooky. If you stay out at night, you go insane. Obviously, someone's been reading some Lovecraft. Here we go. This is how you do the fishing. There are different types of fish. You have to click when you hit the green. Different types of fish require different types of targeting. Let's do another one. There we go, and I've got that. And you put your fish, and you collect fish, you sell them, you do all sorts, shouldn't hit that. You sell them and all sorts of stuff. Anyway, there you go. That's a long video, about 30 minutes. Anyway, that's how you get Linux Mint on a T2 Mac Mini. It's a bit of an epic. It's worth it if you want to keep it. I mean, probably you're thinking I might as well one of those mini PCs, but if you've got one of these at home already, it's a great upgrade. It becomes a powerful and useful machine again, and it is doable. I mean, I do some more videos on Mac laptops, but there you go. That was useful. Thanks for watching.